I'm Dick Clark, CEO and President of Clark Leadership Consulting. And today I want to talk about the legacy of leadership. And when you think about legacy, you can't not think about NASA. You can't forget the contributions that NASA has made over the decades to our society and to your life and my life. NASA has had a profound impact on our world, and cooperating with other space agencies around the world, together they have made a difference. And they have created a legacy that will last not only for our lifetime, but for those generations that follow us. I had the privilege and honor of coaching some of the top executives here at the Kennedy Space Center. And I can tell you from spending time with them and sharing thoughts with them over the time that I spent here, they understand legacy. And their whole life is driven by the opportunity to make a difference. They're not driven by profit. They're not driven by building bigger empires. They're building the future for our society. But they will also tell you that legacy doesn't rest here at the Kennedy Space Center or at NASA or at any space program around the world. Legacy starts when you're young. But too often, and the mistake that we make is that we think legacy, or we think in terms of legacy retroactively. We look in the rear view mirror and kind of define what difference we've made in our career. But it's too late at the end of your career to look back, and yes, you can celebrate the legacy that you've created, but you've missed the opportunity to proactively create that legacy in advance. And that's what I want to talk about for a couple of minutes. You can determine what your legacy is going to be as you go through your career and as you go through your life. And we need to teach our children that you can have an impact. And you have an impact by being a leader. You have an impact by identifying where those opportunities are for you to have a legacy. Let's talk about a couple of names that you will know. Dave Thomas, former chairman and spokesperson for Wendy's. Those people who knew Dave know the modest man he was. But what was special about Dave Thomas is not just hamburgers, but Dave Thomas had a passion to make a difference in young people. Dave was an orphan, as many of you know. And having lived in Fort Lauderdale for a large part of his life and commuting back and forth to the Midwest, Dave spent a tremendous amount of his time trying to energize young people. He even paid for young people to go to college so that they could become inspired and they could make a difference. Dave Thomas's legacy reaches far beyond Wendy's. And there are other people like that. The movie Lean on Me with Joe Clark. I had an opportunity to speak opposite Joe at a national conference. And it was fascinating to meet the person that was portrayed in the movie Lean on Me. Joe's passion about inspiring young people to be successful made contents of a movie. So what about for those people who aren't the Dave Thomases of the world and the Joe Clarks of the world? You and I, we can create legacies for ourselves by making a couple of choices. One is rise to leadership in organizations that will have an impact on the future. Look for the opportunities that you can create success that will have an impact on our society. Think about economic development. When you think about communities that have gone through really tough times, you look at Katrina in New Orleans. You look at the devastating tornadoes that have happened in the Midwest. And you look at the hurricanes that have happened throughout parts of the country. And even probably the most tragic story is what went on with the tsunami and the earthquake in Japan. But there are people within those organizations and those communities that have done things and contributed that are going to make a legacy for them. So whether you get involved in the Urban League or the Chamber of Commerce or the leadership programs, your leadership can create a legacy. Looking back 10 years from now, look at what I've done, and I've done it to make a difference in the community. So my message to you in this CEO Topics is create the legacy, plan it in advance, determine where you can most effectively lead to make a difference, and then have a passion about doing it. You will create a legacy that you will be very proud of, and you will sit back and watch those people who you've inspired who are making a difference like you did. The legacy of leadership. Thank you for watching.